Bill Clinton once called Kashmir the most dangerous place on earth. He wasn't wrong. Lockdown day 4 in the tinderbox Himalayan valley, whose disputed status has already triggered several wars between the two bristling nuclear-armed neighbours and now threatens to kindle another. Hundreds of Kashmiri politicians and alleged separatists are tonight prisoners in their own homes, including 2 former chief ministers. There have been protests, but there's a comms blackout, and tens of thousands of troops have been deployed to contain any backlash to India's unilateral abolition of Jammu and Kashmir's decades-old semi-autonomous status.
We have been blocked by in every sphere. Particularly, restrictions have been limited. There is no medicine, there is no food. We cannot move from our house. We have to go to patients. I am myself a patient. I have to go to the doctor. I cannot move. That is the biggest problem here we are facing.
Kashmir's 7 million disenfranchised Muslim-majority residents now find themselves under direct rule from the unloved Hindu nationalist government in Delhi. The erasure of laws preventing Indians from buying property in Kashmir, deemed an attempt to manipulate demographics. A thumping new mandate in elections in May emboldened the Hindu nationalist-in-chief, Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Any fading hopes of ever having a referendum in Kashmir now summarily dashed.
Hello and welcome. We are now counting down any moment to the Prime Minister's speech to the nation.
Modi spinning his constitutionally contentious move as a new dawn for Kashmir. We have taken an historic decision, he said tonight, promising Kashmiris full civil and legal rights, pledging investment, new roads, new railways, a new airport, jobs, scholarships, democracy, and an end to terror, which has claimed 70,000 Kashmiri lives in the past 30 years. In Pakistan, there is unbridled fury over what's seen as Modi's land grab. Prime Minister Imran Khan has branded it a possible war crime. Parliament in Islamabad yesterday voted to kick out India's High Commissioner and break off trade links, which India today urged them to reconsider.
Pakistan fell for. हम downgrade कर रहे हैं our diplomatic relations with India.
The Samjauta, or Friendship Express, that runs between Lahore and New Delhi has been suspended, the train abandoned by its Pakistan crew near the border. Modi's unilateral move hasn't been universally welcomed in India, where some consider it an assault on democracy. Kashmiris among those protesting.
Don't tell us what is good for us, we know what is good for us. You are not good for us and we have been telling you for 80 years. The world has been telling you you're not good for us.
And there have been dissenting voices in the Indian Parliament too.
By locking up the democratic parties and their leaders, you're opening up a space for undemocratic forces. You claim that we were winning the battle against terrorism, and perhaps we were, but now we're giving a fresh lease of life to the terrorists.
Kashmir has been called paradise on earth, but it's long been one of the most heavily militarised regions in the world too. Both Britain and the US have been muted in the response to all this. The Foreign Secretary just calling for calm. The UN has appealed for restraint. It's almost as if they're too scared to acknowledge that for all the worrisome things that are happening right now, Kashmir could indeed be the most dangerous place on the planet.
Jonathan Miller there. Well, earlier I spoke to Dr. Priyamvada Gopal, author and academic at Cambridge University, and Lord Desai, a Labour peer and prominent backer of the Modi government. I began by asking about the communications blackout and crackdown in Kashmir.
No, but in Kashmir it happens very frequently. Every time the Prime Minister visits Kashmir, they shut down everybody's mobile telephone because, you know, it is a security-prone area. And obviously they knew that they would have to do something like this to not have demonstration in between parliamentary debates. So it's coming up tomorrow. Of course, one would like it to be, but it is Kashmir, and it has been like this for, 70 odd years. So, my analogy is Northern Ireland. We have never been able to treat Northern Ireland normally as a part of UK. And Kashmir is very much like that.
OK, let's just get Prime Minister Gopal to respond to that. Kashmir is like Northern Ireland.
I mean, I think it's quite chilling and shocking to hear a British parliamentarian say, this is Kashmir and that's how it is. And in a way, that is precisely the problem, that for decades, and certainly the last 3 decades, the people of Kashmir have been treated abominably by the central government of India with the consent of, high-ranking politicians and intellectuals like Lord Desai. I think it is utterly shocking that we should see it as normal to treat a people as subject to constantly being treated as a threat, as a security threat, as needing to be at the heels of an army. This is the world's most militarized region.
The Indian government argues that integration is going to improve the lives of Kashmiris.
Exactly.
We've heard Prime Minister Modi talking about amazing cultural development, new rail lines, new airports. Isn't that a positive thing?
Well, I mean, it's exactly what the British Raj argued when it took over India. It said it would bring civilization, it would bring the blessings of development, of modernity, it would bring railways, it would bring bridges, and all would be well and everyone would be happy. I mean, the point is this. Article 370 is a part of a sacred contract that was made when the Maharajas signed the instrument of accession. It cannot legally be abrogated by one party.
Many Indians have enthusiastically welcomed this, including opposition figures from the Congress party.
Yeah.
I'm afraid that we can't really talk about Indian figures. The key issue here is the consent of the Kashmiri people, which was enshrined into Article 370. If you're going to go on saying that Kashmir is a security threat, then you have to ask why. And why would you forcibly annex a people who are clearly, at this point, not willing to be annexed?
What do you believe that this is being driven by?
I think it is being driven by the agenda to Hinduize India, which is the agenda of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's ruling party. They have made no secret of the desire to tamper with the Constitution. This is one of the first moves to tamper with the Constitution, to enforce what is essentially authoritarian rule. And even if I was an Indian who was not particularly interested in Kashmir, I would certainly care about what this meant for me in the future, because what you have is a situation where the Constituent Assembly of Kashmir, which must explicitly agree to Article 370 being lifted, has not been consulted. There is no consent from the other party. And if this becomes the model in the rest of India, what you will have is an authoritarian state. An authoritarian
The Legislative Assembly of Kashmir has been suspended because, as normally happens in every other Indian state, when the ruling party loses confidence, there is a gap before the next election is held. The next election is about to be held in a month when the Legislative Assembly. In the meantime, the responsibility for legislating for Jammu and Kashmir or any other state in India falls on the federal parliament, and the federal parliament has approved of this thing.
Lord Desai, do you accept that this is an ideological project driven by extreme right-wing Hindu nationalism?
No, it is not. It is not, because way back in 1963, Ram Manohar Lohia, who was a secularist,
we're talking about what's happening now.
I know. A secularist had been advocating abolition of 370. Many people have elected. Yes, these people have implemented it because they've always wanted to implement it.
What should the British government's response be here?
Fatma? Well, I mean, let us be clear. This is a mess left behind by the British when they pulled out of India post-haste. They left behind divisions. They left behind arbitrary border divisions. They left behind a complete mess around partition. And as such, it is the historical responsibility of the British government, as well as other international bodies, as well as the parties to the dispute, and most importantly, the Kashmiri people, to be able to decide what is to be done in this disputed region. It is not for one man and a handful of parliamentarians on the Indian side to decide what is to be done. We must respect the fact that Article 370 made clear that Kashmir had special status and that the dispute needed to be resolved in due course with the consent of the Kashmiri people.
Lord Desai, you're a British parliamentarian. What's your role going to be here?
Nothing. I don't have any role. India is a sovereign country.
You don't think that we should condemn what is going on?
British should keep quiet. They've done enough damage. They should keep out of this. This
That's
is
an
not
extraordinary attitude.
a question for Britain or US or China or anybody. Pakistan has already ceded part of their Kashmir to China, so we cannot have plebiscite in all of Kashmir. That is impossible.
We're going to have to.
So
We're going to have to leave it there.
Let Kashmiri people right now react when the curfew is off, as it will be tomorrow, and we will see.
Okay.
There's
Lord
no problem.
Desai, Prem Gopal, thank you both for joining us.
No problem.
Thank you.